Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this week's Europass Talk. My name is Susan Gagliano, and I am a head teacher trainer and professional counselor here at Europass Teacher Academy. Every week we're here, usually on Wednesdays at 4:30 p.m. Central European time. This week we're here on Thursday because yesterday was a big holiday of the Republic here in Italy. So thank you if you're tuning in today, and I hope that you're slowly going towards the end of your school year happily. I know that some of our colleagues in some countries are actually already finished. Congratulations for getting through this really challenging year. And I just wanted to basically bring in someone today who was what I call in English a breath of fresh air. Okay, this is a teacher who came to one of my courses right before the pandemic, and he immediately struck me for his creativity, his motivation, his love of children, and also his love of innovative teaching practices. And I would like to bring him in. His name is Jorge Rivas, and he comes from a town outside of Alicante, Spain, from the Colegio 𝗧𝗲𝗰𝗵𝗏. And so let's bring in my friend and colleague, Jorge.
Hello, good afternoon. Hello.
It's so nice to see you. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I know it's a busy time of year.
Yeah,
and you have lots going, exactly. And yeah. Jorge, so tell me something. Tell us a little bit, what age are your learners before we jump in and talk about all the cool things that you've done with them? How old are they?
This year, 10 years, the 5th grade.
Exactly. And so next year, will they be going on to like a secondary school, to a middle school?
No, the last course of the primary school is the sixth year.
Yeah,
yes, I hope I continue with them, but I'm not sure about that.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
Yes.
And so, okay, Jorge, I wanted you to come on and talk to me because when you and I met in Florence, at this point, it was about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And we had a fantastic group, teachers from all different countries. And I remember that you actually came with your brother, who is also an educator. And the two of you were like the Spanish powerhouses because you were full of ideas and you each kind of brought different talents. And I wanted you to come on because I felt that you had something to share with the people of the Europass Teaching Academy community. Before I begin, I want to ask everyone that's watching us, okay, to please write in the chat box, how was this year or 15 months of teaching during a pandemic? Would you say that these 15 months were positive for you or negative? Okay. And don't worry, be honest, because we all have, we've all had our ups and downs this year. But I would love it if you could share, these 15 months, were there more on the positive side for you in terms of motivation and learning new things, or a bit negative and you really cannot wait for this time to be over? We'll see if anyone has any comments for us, okay? And Jorge, the first question I want to ask you is, how did you develop your educational mindset? Because you are very, very motivated. How did this happen? What is your story? I mean, did you love school when you were a kid?
No, not so much. No. Later, I continued to study, but I was a nervous kid. So, I didn't enjoy it, but we'll pass all the courses, of course. But I see a lot of models, a lot of schools, countries. I can imagine another place to stay, to learn, to develop the skills. So well,
wait a minute.
I'm dreaming about it.
And so you weren't that happy in school as a kid.
Yes.
And I wasn't either. And it's funny how sometimes when you weren't that happy as a kid in school, something interesting happens, that you kind of dream of doing things differently. Is that what you say happened to you?
Yeah, maybe every day the same activities every day. Don't speak up, don't think, don't do that, don't. So I believe in a life education, dynamic, technological, exciting, motivating, competence. Of course, we play with multiple intelligence, so they can develop their own potential in this kind of activities. So well, I'm really happy. I'm and well, I'm still learning day by day to improve my practice, of course.
And so you're saying that you kind of put together a combination of some tech tools and some things that would keep your teaching really innovative, like that there's something always new happening. And I know that you're also very interested in the 4 Cs.
Yes. I think the 4 Cs, I was in Florence learning about the 4 Cs. Yes, I knew soft skills, hard skills, something like that. But I didn't know how to work and how to develop in my own practice. So I love 4 Cs because I use 4 Cs to develop this feeling of unity. This I think this is the most important thing.
That is this idea of unity, so that sense of belonging, which we know is that kids come to school because, well, kids come to school happily when some of their needs are being satisfied.
Yeah.
And one thing we definitely know is the relationship is, and that feeling of connection is something that, well, we all need. And usually when you're in primary school, you're not necessarily coming to school because you are so excited about growing intellectually. You know, that's something maybe that comes later with some greater cognitive development. But this idea that that you would connect, that you would feel competent, that you would feel in some way a part of something bigger than yourself. And so, all right, so how did you create this path? How did you get started? Because at the university, did you learn how to do this?
Yeah, of course. I have 2 degrees, 2 university degrees. Yes, well, I'm learning every day. This path I started maybe 7 years ago. With the first Erasmus Plus course, I read one school here in Alicante received European teachers. I saw this new in the newspaper. So, well, why? It's interesting. Well, we'll see. I was searching on the net. I found Erasmus Plus project. So in the morning, Monday morning, I told my principal, I found a really interesting thing. And she, okay, if you want, come on. Wow. I meet with all the teacher in the break this morning. So, wow, I have one fantastic idea. Well, little by little, but well, my colleagues, but we create a 6 teacher group. We did our first Erasmus Plus project. Was fantastic. I went, it called the International Science Club. Of course, I choose Finland to my first trip. I enjoy a lot. I knew 35 European teachers with a lot of different ways to teach. And we still have this chat, this WhatsApp group.
Really?
Yeah, it was fantastic. I remember the return in the plane. So, well, what can I do with all this information? Because, well, you can transform all that things that you learn in your own reality, of course. So, well, it's fantastic. And later I went to England, 𝗧𝗏𝗰𝗵𝗶. I went to Florence. Next year I'm going to Dublin.
Oh.
And, well, here in Spain, I visited the main school, in my opinion, the best school is called 𝗂𝗁𝗄𝗏 Montserrat in Barcelona. They work with multiple intelligence. I was talking with the principal, Montserrat del Pozo, and, well, was fantastic. That chat is in my mind. This was the spark that changed everything.
And what do you think that spark was? Like, was there a kind of a moment or something that just said, okay, I know what kind of a classroom I want to create?
Well, it was a little transformation, but you feel some special moments that things should change, and I won't be a part of it, of course. So, well, little by little later, I know 𝗧𝗏𝗰𝗵𝗶 is a well-known educator here in Spain. 𝗧𝗏𝗰𝗵𝗁 is a really good teacher from technology. And, well,
and they were kind of like mentors for you.
Yes. For me, it was really inspiring. And, of course, a lot of teachers like my brother Tony is fantastic in secondary school with another class of students, and, well, it's fantastic. And so little by little on Facebook, I search a lot of schools that I like it. So, well, what they are doing, what they are working, little by little, I brought them, hello, I need something. Yeah, well.
and you found that people were very generous, that they were very happy. Yes. And this is something that is remarkable. I'd say in the Erasmus world, this idea that we don't need to always be reinventing the wheel. We say in English, you don't always have to be in coming up with the idea yourself. A lot of these ideas exist. They've been tried by other school systems. Sometimes they make more sense in certain school systems because of the way that their schools are organized. I'm sure when you went to Finland, you noticed that the actual school, the building was different. You know, there's certain things that are possible in Finland because of the way their physical space is organized that, for example, in Italian schools, you need to have a little more, maybe more imagination to make it happen. And I think in Spain, you probably have something similar.
Yes, totally agree. Yes, but in Finland, I like it very much, the way that they think their own practice and they want to improve every day and every day and every day. It's fantastic. Of course, the schools are 12 million euros, and, well, it's not. It's beautiful to see that, but, well, it's not our level. But when I was in Florence, I went to two schools to see two schools outside, and
because, Jorge, when you're like us and we're like education nerds, you know, our idea of a fun time is going around in foreign cities and peeking at the different schools and seeing what it looks like and what it smells like and what it feels like.
Yes,
and never get tired of it. And so, when you came back from Finland? And you also visited these other, the Montserrat school in Barcelona, and you started getting this buzz in your head of what you wanted to change. Now, let's be honest. When you want to make changes, you often encounter obstacles. No. Never.
Every day, every minute.
And what kinds of obstacles did you encounter in trying to make some of these changes?
Yeah, the first obstacle is it's yourself, of course, because you think you are not able to understand the process, to understand the evaluation, to understand what is a rubric, what can I evaluate with a podcast or radio, the part of the book. So it's really difficult to understand. So. Little by little, later, your colleagues in the school, because they see that your children are walking around the school, looking, making interviews. So they think the students are wasting the time. So because they don't understand the activity. This is little by little. Later, of course, parents, but it's really important to explain parents what are you doing and why, of course, what is the purpose. So I had a lot of meetings, personal meeting with them, because I don't understand why. Sit down, little, and the final part is and the most beautiful part. Parents see that their children are happy. The school changes and the motivation changes, and like parent is all that you want.
And so. Would you say that the parents in the beginning, they saw that you were doing sort of non-traditional teaching? Okay.
Yes.
So let's say you weren't just lecturing and then giving them exercises and then correcting the exercises altogether and then giving them a test and then moving on. Okay. Yeah. So you were doing different things and things that were not so easy to evaluate.
Yeah, of course. But it's not only interviews, documentary films. Of course, maybe I try to in my practice the 60% with I use a new methodology and 40% the traditional method. Of course, I explain. Of course, they do activities. Of course, they do exams. But this is in the first part on the project, because in the second part we explode. Yeah.
Tell me about this explosion.
No, this explosion is for the competence. So my purpose is that they show me that they understand all that part on the book, not only with a 7, 8 in the exam, because sometimes it's only memorized. But when they have to do a documentary, a song, a podcast, a radio, a theater, so they can show the reflection, they can show how they learn.
So you're talking about not just learning in terms of I absorb what the teacher is giving me, I absorb in some way what I'm reading, and then I'm able to reproduce it in an exam or orally. What you're saying is apply it in a meaningful way, but with you, student, as the creative director.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I can't imagine. No. I wish I had gone to your school.
No, well, it's a big work because maybe in the documentary film they have to develop. Firstly, they have to create visual thinking, something like that to learn the information. Secondly, they have to create a script. Of course. Thirdly, they have to think about how they can film that the extents, because we have a chroma key, so they can use the chroma key for they want, and they can, but in the whole process, because it's a little complicated process.
Of course.
Really, yes, it's a good fun, because when you said, okay, in this project we are going to do, they need 2 days to rethink how to do. Of course, all these activities are collaborative. Mm-hmm. So I give them in our blog. We have a blog class. And
you have a class blog.
Class blog, yes. So, and I usually, when I started the project, I send them a personal learning plan.
A personal learning plan.
Yeah, with all the things that we have to learn.
The milestones, maybe you mean, maybe, like the goals.
Yes, and the last part is the product and I give them a rubric.
A rubric.
Yeah, a rubric, because this rubric guide the process.
Okay, so let me see. Let's take the example, because I was going to ask you like about, I don't know, if you could give me like 3 examples of something so right now you're talking about the documentary, correct? Okay.
Yes.
So if I'm a teacher listening to you and I say, I want to try that. So can you kind of guide us through? The first thing you did was explain to the students that they were going to do a documentary. Perfect. Then?
Well, the first thing is we are going to do a documentary, of course. And the second thing is to offer them a rubric with all the aspect that I evaluate about this work, because it's not a funny documentary, a sad documentary. It doesn't matter. You can see all the aspect that I'm going to evaluate, so it's easier. And of course, I guide during the process. Yes. So and make the documentary, but of course we are working this year with iPad. Yes, and we are working the way that take a good photo, take a good documentary with different kinds of planes, something like that. So
you actually spent a lot of time on the technical aspect of filming.
Yes, we evaluate both of them. 3 of them, because the last part is the motivation, the way that they work. So not only the result. And of course, we use a lot of technology, of course, and we create technique tutorials. Because at the beginning we didn't want that the classes was an informatic classes.
You didn't want them to be like a computer class.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yes. So I give them okay, this is the way I wreck my screen, explaining in 4 minutes, 5 minutes, how to create a documentary in 5 minutes.
No. So okay, in order to make sure that they knew how to use the technology, you did some pre-work in asking them to, let's say, become an expert in one aspect of the documentary process and create a tutorial that then they could share on, like, with the other students in the class.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic. And then once you were sure that they had these competences, and what was the documentary on? What was the topic?
Well, the topic was the economic levels of the primary, secondary, or third sector in San Vicente, in my own town, in the last 15 years.
Really?
Really?
So it was like an economics. It was learning about their reality.
Yes, of course. They can interview the grandparents. They can search on the internet, because I put one documentary, from Alicante. It's really simple, and it is really useful, because they can see what are demanding.
And so they would, in this documentary, how many children would be in each group working on a documentary?
4. 3 or 4.
Okay. 3 or 4. And why 3 or 4?
Well, because I think in a small group is better, because they can choose one part, and it's easier to work about, and they can search in this part, and well, they can investigate. They
can divide up the work, but it's not such a big group where you lose people along the way.
Yes. Yeah.
And do you give a role to each student, or do you let the students choose their role within their group?
Sometimes at the beginning I choose the roles, but now they know how work, and they can choose if one student has a special talent drawing. Mm-hmm. Well, he can draw the well, something,
whatever you need. Yes.
You need, yes. And well, of course, every week they send me the how they are working this week.
So okay. How long did this project last, about the documentary?
This project 1.5 months.
Okay, so you asked that for them to give, each group had to send you an update every week.
Yes.
And in this update, what did they need to, like, just a paragraph of what they had accomplished? Did they have certain a checklist that they had to follow?
No, it's a shared document, and they put the names of the group. And this week I did this part, investigate of the healthy habits, maybe. So in Monday I check that is true, of course. But
of course, yes, you would make sure that they were really getting that work done, and you kept them on kind of a schedule. They had a timetable, and it was also a way of encouraging their accountability, we say in English, like that they are accountable, responsible for. Yes. For their time management, for the organization of their project. That was a good idea. And then, how did they display then these documentaries? Where did they put them? Did they show them to the entire class? Are they on a website?
No, it's for us. I put the documentary in our class blog, but it's for us.
How long are the documentaries?
How long? It's 7 minutes.
7 minutes.
7 minutes. Yeah, because in the first project they had to do a movie about Star Wars and something like that, and I didn't tell the time, so I saw 25 minutes the movie, and it's too long. So I think and a small documentary, it's better for them. And
yes, it's more effective.
And for me.
Yes, it's for you. Absolutely. So you learn, we try these things, and sometimes we realize that we need to adjust. And, I've had many moments like that in my own teaching practice, where I started off without having the experience of failing, of having things go wrong, and it's the only way that you improve. Only way. Yeah. You do it, and then you see, this worked, but this didn't work. And I have often found that it was the students themselves who helped me afterwards in the debriefing and saying, okay, kids, let's talk about what we just did. What worked in your opinion? And what could we do differently next time? And what could I do differently next year? If you could give the kids advice, that I'm going to have next year, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I think this is a really important part, the communication, one of the 4 C's, and ask the opinion. What is your opinion about this topic? What is your opinion about this? Today we are speaking about Middle Ages. So what do you think? Torre del Oro is near the river, so well, and they love to debate, they love to speak, and it's a good thing, because one of them, okay, Juanjo, why you are saying that? Wow.
And they actually ask each other. They become
I take part. I observe, and I enjoy a lot.
And I think about the critical thinking that's happening there, that they feel free to express themselves, not just repeat what the teacher wants to hear. And okay, so you told us about the documentary. Do you have another project or two that you briefly want to, or even just tell us some of the things that you have discovered or that you would like to encourage other teachers to think about doing?
Well, we have this year, we have a beautiful reader plan. We read every day 20 minutes and we write 20 minutes with a specific, and a specific object. So they love, because it's a beautiful part. These 20 minutes are really silent, really relaxing, and they are enjoying do that.
So when you say object, do you mean topic? Like a subject? Okay.
Yeah.
And give me an example. What might be, today's subtopic was?
Well, the topic is for free, but today is the calligraphy, a good letter, and the accent. So they can write whatever they want.
But the important thing is to write for 20 minutes, and they're very quiet. And then what do you do with these 20-minute writings? Are they evaluated in some way?
I evaluate every Friday, the whole week. And in my iPad, I have an Aula app, and it's fantastic because I can see in real time the 22 screens for my students. So, they know that I'm looking for them, because in their screen put a blue point.
Yes.
You're looking at it. Okay.
You're looking at mine.
Yes. So the middle of the class are reading, and the middle of the class are writing.
So half the class is reading. Is that what you're saying? And half the class is right. Okay.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
So that's a great one, about 20 minutes writing every day on any topic they want, but just to have that opportunity to express themselves.
Yeah, and it's beautiful because every weekend I evaluate this work, and in Monday, Juan, you can choose the other group. Really? Wow. And they are choosing reading 20 minutes, but they are really happy to do that because
they want to write.
Yeah,
they want to do it.
Yes, because they can choose one activity. So, it's fantastic. They are for free. They are free.
Exactly. When you give them that autonomy of a choice that is not necessarily too open or too closed, but where they feel that, okay, I can decide which I feel more comfortable doing. Oh my gosh, it's a game changer. And then, so is there another thing that you're feeling excited about?
Well, we are working about fake news. It's fantastic.
It's near and dear to my heart. Please tell us how to solve this problem.
Every weekend in the link of Drive, we have 2 examples. So I put 3 different links about, if we are working about solar system or if we are working about literature. So one of them is a fake, of course. And they have to search, they have to understand the website, if it's safe or it's good. And one was a good fun because in the class blog I put in Jupiter is a good place to live because we can see whales. It's a lot,
right?
And a lot of them in the Monday told me that this news was good because it was written by Jorge, and it's
This is interesting. So you wrote the article. You made up the fake news.
Yes.
This is really important because this is talking about our confirmation bias.
Yes.
And that is one of the types of confirmation bias, that we tend to believe something based on who said it.
Yes.
And because they trust you, they came to school and said, well, it must be true because you said it. And this is a big challenge to their critical thinking.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And to see to difference about opinion and information. It's I think it's really, really important.
How do you help them with that?
Well, when they are searching, they usually put the website on they found, and they know newspaper official websites. They are trustable. So, well, little by little.
Exactly. And then, you know, even things like learning that they can search for extra information about the author, you know, about the writer of the article. And, you know, as they get older, even more sophisticated things like trying to see, well, is there an organization behind this writer? Who are they speaking for? Or who is paying for example, the research? Obviously, this is something that is starting this in primary school. You are giving them amazing tools that most people our age do not have, and they don't even think about it. And these are the digital natives that are, you know, going to be in some way confronting this. One of the biggest challenges of our time is, you know, what to do with all of this information and what to do with all of the information that's used to divide, to create confusion, to push certain agendas. Fantastic. And you said to me when I contacted you to come on 𝗧𝗿𝗃 Live, I said, Jorge, how is it going? How's this year been? And I kind of made this face, you know, because I was expecting you to say, you know, it was hard. Actually, I'm going to ask anyone who's watching right now. I see that we have many viewers. Tell me what, when I asked you, was this year more positive for you or negative? Okay. I asked in the beginning, but I'm going to ask again. And what about for you? You shocked me, Jorge, because I said, what do you think about, you know, how was this year for you? And you said?
Wonderful.
I mean, wonderful. Nobody's saying that. Wow.
Okay, no, okay. Despite the pandemic and all this ugly situation that we are living, it had been a really beautiful year. Really.
Why?
The first thing that my first goal that I thought, we are in a bubble class here, in only have a little bit interaction with other group. So I remember the first week of the year, I told them, okay, we are going to stay together 1,315 hours. And one part of the class, come on, and other one,
that's terrible.
It's terrible. Yes. So we need to be a family. We are going to spend a lot of time together. So we are going to respect, we are going to speak well, we are going to help that you need help. We are going to be a family. So I'm really proud about my students. It's true, because they are fantastic. They are really a beautiful group, really, because I love when the other day they went to a birthday party. So in Monday morning, okay, George, was fantastic because we saved 3 little cats, and because I told them in Netflix series, I told them about 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗀 los koalas. Well, it's a little Australian little girl that keep koalas. So yes, they felt like easy, and they are really proud about that.
And so this is something disconnected with the classroom, but what's connected to it is that sense of community that you created. And I like the way when you said how many hours they were going to be together, is that you made it into, first of all, you surprised them. You said something that made them kind of think. And we know that this is a great way to get their attention. And then you made it into almost like it was going to be a game or something. This idea, we've got all these hours together, and we need to be aware of how much we need each other. I wonder how many teachers have thought about that somehow in a community doesn't just happen, that we need to kind of create the foundations for it.
Yeah.
And okay, I have a really bad question for you though. What is it that, and I would like to know from the people who are watching, okay, what has been the number one obstacle for any of you who are watching to increasing your personal motivation, teachers? What has been the obstacle in motivating you this year? Has it been parents? Has it been using too much technology? Has it been your colleagues? Has it been because you were missing those interactions with your colleagues? Whatever it is, please write in the comment section what you think was the biggest obstacle to your motivation. And Jorge, I mean, what do you think? What do you notice as being a big obstacle to motivation and to change in schools?
Yeah, I think the first problem, of course, is to understand the process, because you have to jump your comfort zone, and maybe you don't have the parachute. Well, it's true. It's totally true. So you have to believe, but of course, you need some skills. The first one is motivation, of course. You have to search, as you know, in creativity, the first part is the fulfill your bag. So you have to see another teachers, another schools, another
point of view, another way of doing things.
The second part, of course, is to understand how to create a competence activity. So maybe a podcast of radio is a useful activity, is a useful competence activity to show me how they have learned. Maybe, yeah, I think so.
Absolutely.
So, okay, you have to search how to, you can create a small activities, a small competence or multiple intelligence activities, but you have you have to need the tools to evaluate them. Yeah, a rubric are fantastic for that, and it's really useful. I use a 𝗧𝗿𝗀 app. It's a teacher book, but it's more than a teacher book. Then I create a rubric, and when I'm listening the radio podcast, I'm marking, and it transforms in a number mark. Okay, yes, it's 6.65. So it's really useful. This
it saves you a lot of time. Can you repeat the name of this? What you just said. This kind of a rubric.
𝗧𝗿𝗀. I use 𝗧𝗿𝗀, but I think in Google is Google rubrics, and well, there are. I don't know if in another countries are 𝗧𝗿𝗀, but it's really useful because I create rubric, but I create exams, digital exam, because we don't have take papers about the COVID, so we create exams, digital exams, and it's really beautiful because I can choose a co-evaluation and hetero-evaluation and auto-evaluation.
So I'm sorry for anyone that doesn't. So the children can evaluate each other.
Yes.
And they do a self-evaluation.
Yes, of course.
Where they also would look at what did I accomplish, what worked, what didn't work. Fantastic.
Yes. Yes, and I think this is the most important part. And of course, never give up. Little by little, there is a beautiful topic is be stronger than your excuses, and it's totally agree.
So be stronger than your excuses.
It's really difficult. I don't understand. Children, I don't control the process. So, well, little by little, you can get it.
And would you say that's what you say to the students? And what would you say to teachers who are trying to become, let's say, when I referred to you as a transformational teacher, for me, a transformational teacher is a teacher who is has the desire, has the motivation, and also the courage to help these young people evolve and transform without you necessarily deciding what you want the final outcome to be. You know broadly what your learning objectives are, but where they go is endless. They could go beyond what it is that you were imagining, and I'm sure they usually do. Yeah. And so what kinds of, what would you encourage? What words of encouragement would you have for teachers who are ending this year, maybe feeling like, oh, this was hard?
Well, of course, the first part is the self-motivation, but well, at the end of the class, we are empty,
exhausted.
Yeah. Well, it's to understand. We are in a very complicated moment in the history moment. As you can see, in so many countries, society are divided. So I think we need to work about it and worth it, of course.
Worth it.
Yeah, you have to go outside your cave and search and other teachers in European programs or in Facebook or do you want to do an activity together, both schools or something like that, and little by little create, because it's not necessary to work in collaborative way or it's not necessary. Yeah, my class is not a playground. It's not an amusement park. I don't do experiment with my students. This is really important part, but we need to understand the moment that they are living. We create small activities. They change the activities. They go to ask another student if can they help in a specific activities. So it's dynamic. The process is dynamic, but you have to, of course, observe all of that to control.
Well, you are kind of, I think of the teacher. When a teacher is able to be kind of the invisible membrane that's keeping it all together, but is not controlling what happens in every aspect of what's happening inside this membrane, or as you called, it's your group that was, the bubble. And so the fact that it requires teachers to maybe to give up control, also because you were talking about how in the beginning you gave the students more direction, assigning the different roles. But then as they became more comfortable with the process, you could say, you guys choose.
One important part that I could observe in Finland was a student were working in silence. Wow. This is fantastic, because in Spain it's a really difficult to get
it's a noisy culture, just like in Italy.
But
very
it's
noisy.
Good. It's good because they are totally different. So my first goal was to control the noise level. I have a bubble. An app to control the level sound is Bouncy Bubbles. It's called.
Oh, really?
It's a website. Yeah, it's fantastic. Bouncy Bubbles.
And what does Bouncy Bubbles do?
You can see different bubbles. If the noise is high, they move quickly. Yeah, it's good. So
I love it.
Firstly, I work with Bouncy Bubbles, but I don't need.
You don't need it anymore.
No.
Oh, this is an excellent tool for any of us that are in, let's say, the southern half of Europe, right? Because we tend to have, cultures where we talk more, we're a bit more impulsive in how we interact and how we, intervene in a conversation. And I've often thought that this was a big obstacle for a lot of teachers in wanting to do more collaborative work because it got noisy. And then sometimes noisy also meant physically kind of out of control, that there was too much movement and too much talking to the point where it was distracting. Yeah. And so when you can find, instead of telling them to be quiet, you made it into something fun. So Bouncy Bubbles. All right, I have to check that out.
Yes. Yeah.
And
it's fantastic. Yeah.
I mean, Jorge, I have a feeling that we could stay here all night and you would, I would be here with my mouth open with all of the different ideas. You talked about different books that you'd created with the students. I know we're going to be putting them in the comment section. And the fact that, I wanted to maybe end with this, even just a life skill, like one of those soft skills about how to send a proper email. Now, tell me what you said about your students when they have to send an email to you.
Well, it was a war.
It took a while. It took a while to get there.
Yeah. So, of course, in the pandemic, we sent a lot of emails because they have a lot of doubts. I don't know if in the documentary, or I don't know if in that work. So I answer all of them, of course. But maybe 2 months later, at the beginning of the course, I told them, okay, if you don't put hello, good morning, have a good day, if you don't be polite in your email, I don't answer you.
This is another skill. We forget that they don't know how to do this, that they need to write the proper subjects in the subject line. Yes. And not just, re 55 times, and then, to say, good morning, Jorge.
Yes.
How are you? I hope things are well with you. And then
hello, thank you, please, have a good day. It's sometimes the small things are the biggest.
Absolutely, because these are things that I think a big difficulty for a lot of educators is understanding that the 4 C's are made up of everyday decisions that we make in our classroom that could be extremely small. It could be just how you are going to manage students using the bathroom. Are we going to stay in the 19th century where they have to raise their hand and, oh, can I please go to the bathroom? And yes or no. And we use the bathroom almost like a punishment or a reward. And then, they have to depend on us, and even just little things like, how do we give them that responsibility? How do we take turns? How do we know how to be polite and to put our best foot forward, even in something as simple as an email? Yes. We have opportunities every single day. And Jorge, I'm sure that your students will thank you for it. And more than anything, it sounds like you thank your students for giving you this opportunity, because it's obviously very fulfilling for you. It's a great, I don't know, when you talk about school, your whole face lights up.
Yes, I love my work. Well, sometimes it's so
tiring.
It's totally, but yes, I think we can change a little bit, but we can change. When I was in Finland, I was talking with an astronaut of the NASA, and I remember I was talking about him. Why is the way to be an astronaut? He was from Arkansas. And
Arkansas.
In 4th grade, I had a science teacher that put science in my binds. So I see my student like astronaut, like doctors, like
somehow you are imagining, you are projecting, them in fulfilling their dreams and in going towards their goals. And it affects how you speak to them, how you look at them, how you believe in them.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't even need to say it. They just feel it. Jorge, if teachers want to get in touch with you, we have put some links of your website, some of the work you're doing with their students. Is it okay if teachers reach out to you? Can teachers write to you and, maybe you can exchange some ideas with them?
Yeah, yes, of course. Yes,
that
of
would
course.
Be great.
I do the same. At the beginning of this process, I do exactly the same. I know a little, but maybe can help someone to develop some activity or to share one activity together. Why not?
Exactly. If they have a good idea and say, we could, and absolutely. Thank you so much for being with us today today, Jorge. It was great talking to you. Congratulations on having such a wonderful year in spite of everything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for all that you do to make sure that these children feel heard, they are seen, and that they feel valued and encouraged, that they have hope for the future. That's very important. That's something that's very important to me. And I have to thank you for doing that.
Okay. Thank you very much of course.
And have a great day. And thank you to everyone who's watching us today. And I hope that you're having a great week so far. And we will see you next Wednesday for another Facebook Live in talking about innovative teaching, different ideas that people have, and things that just generally make us feel happy that we are still in education in spite of everything. Best of luck to everyone. And thank you again, Jorge.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.